It sounds harmless, El Niño, doesn't it? But the return of the climate pattern has scientists bracing for the worst. Last seen in 2016, it led to the world's hottest year on record. Extreme weather events, droughts, higher malnutrition rates, and devastated livelihoods. Well, now it's back.
The ongoing wildfires in Canada serve as undeniable evidence that our planet is veering off its intended course, signaling the approaching end times. There is no turning back. By discerning and interpreting these signs, we can equip ourselves with the necessary knowledge and actions required to prepare for the challenges that await us in the impending end times. Hebrews 10:25, not forsaking the assembling of ourselves as the manner of some is, but exhorting one another, and so much the more as you see the day approaching. If you're new, please consider subscribing to the channel. As the day of the Most High approaches, it is crucial for us to take two essential actions. Firstly, we should prioritize coming together, even if it means connecting with only 2 or 3 people rather than a large collective. Secondly, we must actively engage in providing encouragement and support to one another as we move closer to the significant day. Many will face escalating challenges in terms of survival. Therefore, it is important to recognize the end times and the need for preparedness. So what are the causes of these wildfires? The rivers are drying up and the earth is also warming up. Do we buy the media fairy tales who put the blame on the earth warming up on global warming? Global warming refers to the long-term increase in the Earth's average temperature as a major aspect of climate change. Global warming occurs due to the release of greenhouse gases, particularly of carbon dioxide and methane, into the Earth's atmosphere. While the news media may attribute many of these events to global warming, it is important for us to understand biblical prophecy when examining the causes behind these occurrences and not focus on made-up scientific theories. Isaiah chapter 30 verse 26. Moreover, the light of the moon shall be as the light of the sun, and the light of the sun shall be sevenfold, as the light of 7 days, in the day that the Most High bindeth up the breach of his people, and heals the stroke of their wound. The earth warming up is a signal to the Most High's people that he is preparing to forgive their sins. It is time to make the bride ready. Jeremiah 50 verse 20. In those days and in that time, says the Most High, the iniquity of Israel shall be sought for, and there shall be none, and the sins of Judah, and they shall not be found. For I will pardon whom I reserve. There are many signs that prove the curtain is closing on the powers that be, the ruling bloodline on the earth. Their time to rule is coming to an end, and the Most High's kingdom is ready to be established. 2 Ezra 11:39. Art not thou it that remaineth of the 4 beasts, whom I made to reign in my world, that the end of times might come through them? The ruling bloodline has existed for a significant duration, but its time is now ending. There are only 4 beasts. There will be no more. Despite how anyone may feel, I have heard many say China is ready to take over. No, there are only 4 beasts. To be honest, I wouldn't survive another. So what signs should we look for? Should we rely on John Hagee's book, The 4 Blood Moons? Or can we discover the signs on our own by reading for ourselves the same book as they do and discern the truth without preconceived notions or agendas? One prominent sign to look for is the darkening of the sun. Isaiah chapter 13 verse 10. For the stars of heaven and the constellations thereof shall not give their light. The sun and moon shall be darkened forth, and the moon shall not cause her light to shine. Joel chapter 2 verse 31. The sun shall be turned into darkness, and the moon into blood, before the great and terrible day of the Most High come. Matthew 24 verse 29. Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. All these verses are all saying the same thing. They are all the same event. But the question becomes, is the sun and moon literally going to go dark? I can tell you this, it's a real possibility. But is there another understanding to this? I can tell you the Most High uses this as an analogy when it's time for regime change, when he's going to bring a ruling body down. It is not necessarily a literal event that we should be looking for. So let's start by reading Ezekiel chapter 31 verse 1. And it came to pass in the 11th year, in the 3rd month, in the 1st day of the month, that the word of the Most High came to me, saying, Son of man, speak unto Pharaoh king of Egypt and to his multitude. Whom art thou like in greatness? Behold, the Assyrian was a cedar in Lebanon, with fair branches, and with a shadowing shroud, and a high stature, and his top was among the thick boughs, and the waters made him great. The deep set him upon high, with rivers running round about his plants, and set out her little rivers unto all the trees of the field. Therefore his height was exalted above all the trees of the field, and his boughs were multiplied. His branches became long because of the multitude of waters when he shot forth. All the fowls of heaven made their nests in his boughs. And under his branches did all the beasts of the field bring forth their young. And under his shadow dwelt all great nations. Thus was he fair in greatness, and length of his branches, for his root by his great waters. The cedars in the garden of God could not hide him. The fir trees were not like unto his boughs, and the chestnut trees were not like his branches. Nor any tree of the garden of Elohim was like unto him in beauty. I made him fair by the multitude of his branches. So all the trees of Eden that were in the garden of Elohim envied him. In summary, the analogy used by the Most High involves the comparison of the king of Assyria to the king of Egypt, emphasizing their greatness. He's telling the king of Egypt that he is just like the king of Assyria. The trees are used as a metaphor to represent great and powerful men. This is a message to the king of Egypt that although the king of Assyria was able to conquer the entire known world except for Jerusalem, the Most High brought him down. He is warning Pharaoh, and he is telling Pharaoh, even though you're great, I can bring you down. In verse 9, he says the trees of the Garden of Eden would have envied the king of Assyria for greatness, implying that even the great men of the Garden of Eden would have admired the king of Assyria, yet the Most High brought him down. Ezekiel 31 verse 10. Thus saith the Most High thy Elohim, because thou hast lifted up thyself in height, and hast shot up among the thick boughs, and his heart is lifted up in height, I have therefore delivered him into the hand of the mighty one of the heathen. He shall surely deal with him. I have driven him out for his wickedness. So he had delivered the king of Egypt into the hand of the king of Babylon. The Most High is letting the king of Egypt know, because he has gotten too big, that he plans to bring him down. Ezekiel chapter 32 verse 1. And it came to pass in the 12th year, in the 12th month, in the first day of the month, that the word of the Most High came unto me, saying, Son of man, take up a lamentation for Pharaoh king of Egypt, and say unto him, Thou art like a young lion of the nations, and thou art as a whale in the seas. Thou camest forth with thy rivers, and troubled the water with thy feet, and fouled the rivers. Thus saith the Most High thy Elohim, I shall therefore spread out my net over thee, and with a company of many people, and shall bring thee up into my net. Then will I leave thee on the land. I will cast thee forth into the open field, and will cause all the fowls of heaven to remain upon thee. And I will fill the beasts of the whole earth with thee. And I will lay thy flesh on the mountains, and I will fill the valley with thy height. And I also will water thy blood in the land where thou swim, even unto the mountains and to the rivers shall be full of thee. And when I put thee out, I will cover the heaven, and make the stars thereof dark. And I will cover the sun with a cloud, and the moon shall not give her light. The bright lights of heaven will I make dark over thee, and set darkness upon the land, says the Most High. Now, in this analogy, the Most High compares Pharaoh, king of Egypt, to a whale in the seas. He goes on to say how great he has become. But the message to Pharaoh 1 year and 9 months later is that the Most High intends to bring him down. And when you compare Ezekiel chapter 32 verse 7 and 8 with Matthew 24 verse 29, immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of heaven shall be shaken. They are very similar. What can we understand from this? Simply put, the Most High mentions the sun will be darkened and the moon will not give her light. It's an analogy indicating regime change is imminent. The existing powers are about to be overthrown. That's what this analogy is talking about. So why is this significant? It means instead of spending money on books like John Hagee's 4 Blood Moons or investing in telescopes to search for astronomical events, we should have all the evidence that we need. The key is to repent and prepare, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Rather than getting overly consumed with signs and specific events in the book of Revelation, which we may have misinterpreted, focus on seeking the Most High and following his commandments while there is still time. Isaiah 55 verse 6, Seek ye the Most High while he may be found. Call upon him while he is near. Let the wicked forsake his way, and the righteous man his thoughts, and let him return unto the Most High, and he will have mercy on him, and according to our Elohim, for he will abundantly pardon. Zephaniah 2:1. Gather yourselves together, yea, gather together, O nation not desired, before the decree bring forth, before the day passes chaff, before the fierce anger of the Most High come upon you, before the day of the Most High's anger come on you. Seek ye the Most High, all you meek of the earth, which have wrought his judgment. Seek righteousness, seek meekness. It may be ye shall be hid in the day of the Most High's anger. The nation not desired are the Israelites. The meek of the earth are the Israelites. The judgments of his mouth are his commandments. If you do those things, perhaps, and I mean perhaps, you may be hid in the day of the Most High's anger. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.